Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl. Hey ladies, this is Stunning Sadie, and today I'm going to discuss I don't want to say it's a heavy topic, but it's a topic that I feel like as a woman in my 30s, it's time for me to say what I've been wrestling with, but also what I feel like others have also went through, and that is feeling like you're stuck in a loop. And I wrote some stuff here. I'm very excited to talk about it. One of the reasons you might feel like you're stuck in a loop is because of your lack of movement. And it can be very detrimental to who you are as a woman. You might think to yourself, well, I done this and it went nowhere, or I done that and it didn't go anywhere, and I'm just tired. But you think in your mind, I'm tired, but really you haven't even moved. You have exhausted your mind. You have exhausted your thinking. You've overthought yourself into tiredness. So your body physically isn't moving. Your mind is racing like here and there. I have to do the laundry. I have to pay the bills. I have to work this 9 to 5. I have to stop by and see my nieces for their birthdays. So you're constantly thinking all these things and you haven't even done them yet. And so now your mind is telling your body that you're exhausted. And then the loop continues, the mental exercise. And so I'm going to give you some tips of how to get some movement in your life and move away from the constant hustle and bustle of your mind and into actually moving your body. Okay. So I have been in many sports. I've been in track. I've been in basketball. I've been in tennis. So I was a very sporty girl growing up. And I remember we did in basketball and track the suicides. Now, sorry, that might be a triggering word for some, but it's an exercise where you're running, like this will be your post. And so you run here and then you run back to your post and then you run further and then you run away back to your post and then you run further. So what happens in life is we run to where we start up at our post and then we run here and then we go back to our post and then we run very back at the same spot. So we're never going further and then running back to our post. And that's essentially our issue, is we feel in our minds that we are moving further, but in fact, we've only just stayed at the one mile mark. We haven't went to the 2 mile mark and then ran back. So since we stay at that one post, one running area back and forth, we're exhausting ourselves. We don't actually realize that we're not going any further. So that can be a little daunting because you're like, well, I mean, even if I run right here, it's still exhausting. Yeah, it's still exhausting, but you're not really getting any further, really. Like you're just going here, back and forth, home to the store. You're not even going further to a different store. I hope this example is not but so that might be what's happening also in your life. You're not going any further, but you think you are because you might be getting back to your post faster, but you're not going any further. You're not seeing how further you can go by just going back in the same direction, let's call it. So let's see, acceptance of lack of movement. So now that we have covered that we are in a loop, we are just going here to there, back and forth, we do this thing where we accept that we're in that loop. And we're just like, well, I only have this amount of time at my job and I only have this amount of time and there's no more time for me to do anything. And I always say when we know we want something, we will make it happen. We will make it happen. So when we decide to accept the situation that we're in, there's no longer making it happen because we already said this is what it's going to be. This is what it's always going to be. And that can keep us in the loop because now we're uncomfortable, but we have accepted being uncomfortable in a space that we don't want to be in anymore. I always say if I don't like something, I make sure that I remind myself that I don't like it because the longer we stay in something that we don't like, we forget that we didn't like it in the first place because now it becomes our norm. So the first thing is the lack of movement, and the second sign is acceptance of the lack of movement. The third thing is afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. Oh my God. So now that we have gotten in the loop, we accepted a loop, now we're afraid of going out of it because we don't actually, it's been so long. We have been in the loop and it's in our comfort space. So we're like, oh no, I can't go further than that. So then we fill our heads up with, what if I mess up? What will people think? I don't know what to expect. I won't be able to handle it. So we fill these words in our mind, these negative affirmations in our mind that we're not going to be able to do it. No way, impossible. And here's a fun fact. We kind of forget that we've already done the thing before. So it isn't something new. What do I mean by that? Let's say I had a podcast. I do have a podcast. And I'm super duper nervous about having a podcast, not even realizing, I'm like, wait, hold on. I had a podcast 2 years ago that I let go of. So this isn't a new action that I'm doing. But because I let go of that podcast, now in my mind, I'm thinking that it's something new when in fact it isn't. It's something that I had already overcome. But because I had let it go so long ago, I'm reliving it as if it was something new, and it's not. And when you realize that you're doing something that isn't new, let's say, for instance, you're a college grad, you have your associate's degree, now you want to get your bachelor's. But for some reason, you're thinking college as something new when you already have your associate's degree. It's not something new. It's something you overcome before. So if you overcome it before, it's quite possible that you can overcome it again. And I hope that gave you some comfort in thinking that. Just a sidetrack thing, just a little tip, okay? So we stepped out of the loop. We accepted, well, we're in the loop, we accepted the loop, and now we're afraid to step out of the comfort zone. Now we're filling our heads up with negative affirmations and we're choosing to believe it. So now what are we to do with all this? This is like, oh my God, it seems so big. Okay, so how do we not make it as big? We break our routine slightly, very slightly. Why slightly? Because you don't want to just throw everything away willy-nilly. Remember, you have made this into a comfort zone for you. So we don't want to automatically just rip you out of something that has snuggled you and made you comfortable. We don't want to do that, okay? So we want to break your routine slightly. So how do we do that? Set a mini daily goal for the week. Something small. Maybe you go a different route when you go to work. Maybe you go to work a little earlier. Maybe you pop on a podcast, maybe the Stunning City podcast. Maybe you eat something different, or you wake up a little earlier, do yoga, or make some eggs. Maybe usually you always eat a breakfast bar. So something slightly to get you out of this constant loop. That would be the first step. The second step is sit with your discomfort on purpose. So you've gotten yourself slightly out of the loop because you're doing small things. Now we're going to build up to making things a little bit bigger. Maybe calling somebody that you've been meaning to call but been avoiding. Maybe meeting with a friend, speaking to a family member, or starting something new slowly, of course. Maybe a YouTube channel, maybe signing up for a dance class or going to a library and signing up for sewing classes. Something to allow you that you don't know how to do, but you want to sit with it and say, okay, I don't know this, but I'm willing to give it a try. So that will be interesting, wouldn't it? Next, use what if statements. So we filled our heads up with those negative affirmations. Now let's use a what if statement. What if this changes my life? What if I surprise myself? What if it's not as bad as I think it is? So now you're leaving space for open-ended questions where you can use your imagination, filling it up with curiosity instead of fear. So I love a what if statement because you just never know. And that might fill you up more excitement. And since I love this tip. Pick one affirmation to repeat every day. One affirmation every day. Have the affirmation typed to your mirror, in your purse, in a bag, just somewhere, or even on your phone. Like design a background, put that as a background, write it down, take a picture of it, put it as your back, just somewhere where you can see it and you will say it in your mind out loud. However, something that you can repeat over and over again to help you start to believe it. I love affirmations. I also have an episode on my podcast for affirmations. I have really amazing ones. This is a good one. This isn't fair. This is energy. I am growing. So, I guess that's all the tips I have for you. If you do want to hear more of my wonderful insight, I do have a podcast on Spotify, on Apple Music, it's on all of the networks, okay? I'll leave you with this. You don't have to show up as a perfect version of a healthy woman, as a healthy man. You just have to show up as someone who is growing. Thanks for staying and listening, and I can't wait to hear from you guys next time. Bye.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, pretty.